I think it's fair to say that everyone, to varying degrees, has been unwillingly flung into a war of attrition between the stillness of quarantine and the entropy of the outside world. Whether you're a student or part of the workforce, the daily norms you've been adhering to are now completely gone or altered in some way. As a 22-year-old who recently graduated college and moved back in with his parents, I could say that nothing has changed, and that's the problem. Graduating a semester early in December of 2019, I've had about 3 months before the COVID epidemic hit the US as hard as it did. In this time, I started to apply to different jobs, none of which ended in anything substantial, but polite rejections were enough to keep me optimistic. This went on for weeks. It was only a matter of time before I applied to every job on listing sites, only to refresh the page to find that the jobs I've already applied to, one by one, were getting filled up by people more qualified than myself. The more jobs I applied to, the less likely it felt like I was going to land any of them, eventually leading to a spiral of defeatist attitudes and growing apathy. I started waking up later, started doubting the skills I'd been taught in college, diving deeper into a world of self-doubt, pity, and shame. Was I not trying hard enough? Do I not have the skills to make it in the real world? I'd find relief through the escapism of video games, only to find myself less productive for doing so, but hated facing the reality that waited for me when I put them down. Pressure from my parents to find a job, along with this mounting self-resentment, made me feel so claustrophobic in my own skin. It was around this time when it happened. The mandated beginning of an indefinite quarantine. My dad started working from home. My mom's job gave her a temporary leave for an undisclosed period of time. My brother, who was living in Brooklyn, came to stay with us for the duration of the quarantine. Here we were, my whole family in my childhood home. I couldn't help it, but it felt so familiar. Now, all of a sudden, my lifestyle was, for the most part, normalized. It's okay if my life is stagnant. Everything is now. Why try to fight it? Amongst all the panic and chaos, I finally found stability. I knew it wasn't sustainable, but as much as I hated to admit it, I found comfort in the lack of control. Now, even for a little while, the pressure was finally off of me, and I basked in it. My non-existent sleeping schedule was now the norm for many of my peers. My friends were always down to play video games because now they had as much free time as I always did, and as ironic as it sounds, everything felt normal. Everything felt normal. For a time. Now we're standing somewhere in between the middle and the end of our quarantine state. Things are bound to go back to normal, but no one knows when. And now it's starting to hit me that while everyone goes back to their normal lives, I'm still going to be where I began. Stagnant. And it scares me. I'm not sure what's going to happen when all of this is over. No one knows. I wish there was a lesson or moral to end this video on, but I don't have the answers for that. People have died, businesses are closing, we're on the brink of an economic depression, and there's nothing that we can do about it on an individual level. My only hope is that if anyone's listening out there that feels the same way I do or is in the same position, know that you aren't alone. And it's scary and it sucks, but we'll get through this. It's okay to find comfort in the lack of control, but try not to stay stagnant like I did. Thank you for listening.